This is Tony Madson. I'm out at the Rusty Coles Fieldhouse on a Wednesday night as Coach Rivers prepares for the last regular season game of the year against the UMS-Wright Bulldogs. Good evening, Coach. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Congratulations on an 8-1 season and then win against Orange Beach last week. I wanted to just quick look at the season stats, if we could. We have 2,523 passing yards. That's an average of 280 yards a game through 9 games, of course. A 68% completion rate. We have 332 total points, averaging 36 points on the year. 1,532 yards rushing, 170 yards per game rushing. Just speak about the offensive efficiency throughout the season.
Yeah, it's been pretty solid, and very few turnovers. We've had a couple got away from us, but very few turnovers, so we're protecting the ball. And our 3 things offensively is protect the football, run the football, and throw completions. So within those stats, we've done that. As you can see, we've protected it well. We've ran the ball well, averaging, 170 yards per game, and then we've thrown a lot of completions. We're there right at 70%. So when you do that, you score points, and we've, as you mentioned, averaged right at there 36 points a game. So it's been a solid year thus far, and but it's just like we always talked about the NFL as a week-to-week league, because you see somebody win and then the next week they lose and the next week they win. It's football in general at any level to me is a week-to-week league, because now it's like, okay, wow, you've had a good year offensively, then here comes the last game of the year and in the postseason, and it doesn't matter what you've done. It does, and it all matters, but you know what I'm saying? When you get to this point, it's like, all right, well, now we got to be playing our best game to game.
When we speak about playing our best game to game, I'm going to bring up our WCN Players of the Week, because this week it was kind of a gang effort. We gave it to our offensive line. We got Rocco Fiapu, Grady Skipper, Maddox Caldwell, Adian Bodine, John Travis, and Chase DeRoy. When we look at the offensive line, one of the things I've always kind of dug into them, and you look at some of the great teams over any of the great teams, whether college or professional. You look at I'm a Vikings fan. The 98 Vikings had one of the best lines you could ever see. The 2006 San Diego Chargers went 14-2. A lot of people said they had the best offensive line of football that year. It was the highest scoring offense that year. Speak about a quarterback and the offensive line and how much that means to a season to have a good offensive line.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that 06 Chargers team, and that was the year that LT broke the touchdown record rushing, and those guys up front obviously had a huge part to do with that. Also, LT was LT. But our offensive line has played very well collectively, and so I think it was fitting that they got that award together, because people often ask me about cohesion between how long does it take to get timing down with your receivers, and how long does it take for you to get the feel for, and I've often said that is very important, and it takes some time. You need game reps and all those things. But to me, the cohesion that's often overlooked is an offensive line group, and how many of those blocks, are double team blocks, they're combo blocks that you got to work together as a unit. And Maddox makes the calls, and they get echoed down the line, and they all have to be on the same page for it to work. It doesn't just the right guard or left guard or whoever can play good, but if those other 5 aren't in sync with him, it's not going to work. So those guys have grown together. John and Rocco on that left side have kind of been staples over the last 3 years. Both seniors. John obviously had a tough injury, but John was starting as a 9th grader. So you kind of knew what that was going to be. You moved Maddox to center, who was a solid player for us last year as a 10th grader, and you feel good about that. And then you go, all right, we new starters. Some new starters with Bodine and Skipper on the right side, and those guys have really played well. They've really played well. Walt made the comment this week that Bodine's uniform is one of the dirtiest uniforms at the end of the game, and it's because he gets after it. He really gets after it. And Grady has all of a sudden, he looks pretty in uniform. You know what I mean? All of a sudden he's gone from this 9th grader, and I know he's a junior, but gone from this kind of 9th grader. You go, man, I wonder how big Grady's going to end up being. I wonder if he's going to, and then he just when 56 tries out there, it's like, dang, that's a good looking right tackle. So that whole group has played well together. You mentioned DeRoy has played mixed in there as a kind of a heavy big tight end and played some O-line as well. Cole Singley played again the Satsuma game at center, but it's been a solid group for us, and I think that's contributed to our balance on offense. And I'm jumping ahead to you just because you mentioned you were going to talk about the Orange Beach. We were so balanced that Orange Beach game. I think we were 270 passing, 260 rushing, or whatever it was, something like that. And so it was a great balance of.
Actually, I'll interrupt you, because what I had was 268 yards passing and 268 yards rushing.
Did you really? Yeah. So it was pretty dead on, and it was again it's throwing completions. I think we're over 70% again in completions, and then Noah's averaging in this game almost 8 yards a carry or more. So it was efficient day offensively for sure.
With the offensive line kind of helping you out with that, I'm going to go back to them for just a second because each one of them had really good answers when I asked them about Coach Dupre. And each one of them, of course, he's their only offensive line coach. He's your only high school offensive line coach as well. Can you just speak a little bit about Coach Dupre and how he puts everything together for the season?
Yeah, well, I think he does a great job with the guys, and he's got, in large part, he's got the biggest room, meaning the most guys. He's got, whatever, 10, 12, 11, 12 guys. So he's got he's got that range from, he's got to get these starters ready week to week, and then you still want to coach the young guys that are playing JV and develop guys. So he has a way of doing that with a big room. And the big thing I'd say about Coach Dupre is he's a heck of a teacher. There's, I wouldn't put everybody on the spot on this because not everybody's going to agree, but he's one of the guys would tell you that Coach Dupre is one of the best teachers. I'm talking in the school building, so and he transfers that over, obviously teaching football. He's a really good teacher. I think he has a way of teaching each guy differently, how they need it. And I think that's huge. And he has a lot of fun doing it. I think they know he cares about them. And so it's not very formal. It's in a lot of fun. It's good natured fun, and the guys really respond to him. And he and I work a lot well together. And there's often times where I defer to him on something with the O-line, and there's often times where either he or I are both going to say something, and either I'll beat him to it or he'll beat me to it, because we've gotten to where in 4 years now that we're seeing and teaching it the exact same way, and that's important.
Each one of the offensive linemen, I think it's interesting, said the same thing of what great a teacher he was. Maybe not in those words, but that's what came out. Now, as far as we'll look quickly back at Orange Beach and our defense as well. Orange Beach was a little bit strange from a standpoint of they didn't even hand the ball off until well into the second quarter. It was more of a wildcat attack almost all the way through the first half. They only scored 77 yards on the night as far as passing, only 15 attempts. So very, very rushing-oriented attack. Several different rushers as well. You never knew who was going to have the ball. Speak about the defense and really how well they did. I think Cam Kerbel had 9 tackles. I think it was probably his best game.
Yeah, I thought the defense did a better job. We had a few plays get away from us, big plays, but better job of keep making them snap it again. And I think about that first drive. They got 4, they got 5, they got a first down. They got 4, they got 6, they got a first down. They got 4, we got tackle for no gain, and then we had them with a big 4th down stop. So I kind of think, when teams are doing that, it's hard. It's hard defensively when they're in that heavy set, pounding it, hard to keep them from getting a couple yards here and there or getting some first downs. So we just got to eliminate the big play. And we did that for the most part in the game, and we got a few takeaways. And if we can do that defensively and our offense can keep up the efficiency they are, that's going to give us a chance to have a chance, and that will give us a chance to win any game we play. That doesn't mean it'll happen, but if we can get a few timely stops and not give up big plays and keep being efficient on offense, we'll have a chance each week.
When we look at UMS-Wright, our final game of the season, how has UMS-Wright's season gone so far, and what are their strong suits?
I think and again, you really just can go off record. It's not one of their best seasons. But when I watch the tape, I see UMS. I see UMS, and that's
an old program.
That's tough, gritty, smart football players. A lot of guys that you can tell they understand the game of football, and then they got some guys that are going to be tough to tackle, and some guys defensively they're going to be tough to block. The 2 inside linebackers are good players. The D line is real active, and then offensively they got some big backs that are going to pound it, and they throw it around a little bit too. So and Coach Curtis, obviously, we know his Hall of Fame career and what he's built there over the last 25, 30 years. I don't want to short it, maybe more than that. They've been doing it. I told the guys that. They've been doing this at UMS before any of y'all were born. So it's just, and not that I don't think our guys need convincing that they know they're playing a quality opponent, but you sometimes can get caught up in, the record, and it's like, hey, this UMS last year was a 4 seed, and they went to Central Clay County and beat them 7-0 in the first round. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough, hard fought game, and it's one that really is a perfect game before our opponent next week in Hanley. Very, very similar in style, very, very similar in front structure and in style and formations. And so it can be a good for us. Obviously, we want to win the game, but good for us as we look forward to next week as well. that one to get here when it gets here. We're excited about it, but I don't want us to overlook a great opportunity to play a storied program in UMS at their place, and it should be a heck of an atmosphere. And looking forward to playing those guys.
One thing I do want to kind of reiterate, something that you have said several times throughout the season: getting to a 10-win season would be a remarkable accomplishment for this team. I kind of looked at things over the history of things over the last 10 years or so. Rarely does that happen, actually. Just a handful of teams every year in any division reach 10 wins. So remarkable that they can still achieve that.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, if we were to not get it done against UMS, we still can get to 10. But the easiest path to 10 is take care of business on Thursday and then find a way to win that first round against Hanley.
And take care of business. That's the thing. Well, thank you very much, Coach. Right. Good luck against UMS-Wright this week.
Tony.